Why does religion protect predators? Scandals, cover-ups and silence. Over and over again, we've seen powerful religious institutions protect predators instead of victims. But why does this keep happening? Is it about faith or is it about power? Today we're taking a deep dive into one of the most controversial and disturbing topics out there. Why does religion protect predators? We'll explore the real-world cases from different faiths and also the psychology behind these cover-ups, and whether this is a problem with religion itself or something more complex. And of course, I want to hear from you. Do you think that religion as a whole is to blame, or is it the people abusing power? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now, before we get started, I want to put a trigger warning. For those of you who are highly sensitive to controversial topics and unable to critically think, please do us all a favour and immediately exit this video. My intention is not to condemn or vilify any one religion. It is simply to explore the reasoning as to why, and to further explore why all religions seem to have such a loyalty to predators. Now let's begin. We're going to start off with the Catholic Church scandals. One of the most well-known cases of the religious cover-ups involves the Catholic Church. For decades, priests accused of child abuse were quietly moved to different parishes instead of being punished. In 2002, the Boston Globe's investigation exposed how the church systematically hid these crimes, leading to a global reckoning. But even after these revelations, the problem hasn't disappeared. Reports continue to emerge of abuse being covered up within the church, pointing to a deeper, systematic issue. Next is the Muslim grooming gangs in the UK. In the UK, a chilling scandal exposed how Muslim grooming gangs operated for years. They preyed on vulnerable young girls. Many of them were from marginalised communities. The cases were mainly in Rotherham, Rochdale and Telford. And these cases revealed how these gangs targeted and trafficked thousands of girls, subjecting them to the most horrific abuse. But what was even more disturbing is that the authorities ignored the abuse for years. Police and local councils admitted that they were afraid of being labelled racist or Islamophobic. And because of this fear, it allowed predators to continue with their abuse while the victims were silenced. And was there any outrage from the Muslim community? Of course not. Many voices within the community remained silent, or they just downplayed these cases to avoid public scrutiny. Once again, they protected the victims. Next is Jehovah's Witnesses and their two-witness rule. Jehovah's Witnesses have faced intense scrutiny for their two-witness rule. And this rule means that two people have to witness the accusation of abuse for it to be considered as valid or even reasonable to be brought to be heard. And since most abuse happens in private, this policy effectively shields predators from accountability. Victims who came forward are often met with disfellowshipping, being shunned by their entire community. This creates a culture of fear and silence and allows abuse to continue unchecked. The Jewish Orthodox communities. In some Orthodox Jewish communities, abuse is often hidden due to the intense insularity and fear of bringing shame to the community. Survivors who report abuse risk being ostracized by their families and cut off entirely. It's the rabbinical courts who are often allowed to handle these cases internally. This means that it keeps it out of the hands of law enforcement. Victims are often pressured to keep it within the community to avoid public scrutiny, and this only creates a cycle where predators go unpunished. And lastly, the Hindu temples and religious gurus. In India, cases involving Hindu religious gurus have shocked the nation. Many of these cases have involved highly popular and revered holy men, but they were later exposed as serial predators who abused followers, and many of them were minors. Despite the overwhelming evidence, these men had devoted followers who refused to believe the accusations. Their influence was so strong that victims were often silenced and shamed for defaming a holy man. So as you can see, we are witnessing a common theme here. I can't include every religion here today, but my point is to demonstrate that all religions seem to have a stronger relationships with predators than they do their own people. So why do religious institutions protect predators? I guess the number one point would be the fear of losing power and reputation. Because all the religions out there seem to be seen as the greatest, whether they have the newest book or their practices are more aligned with truth or they have a higher morality. All the religions out there would ideally like to be seen as the one and true religion. And I guess if they allowed these real life cases of abuse to find the light of day, it destroys that. These religious institutions, they thrive on trust and reputation. If that trust is broken, people can leave, and that threatens the institution's power. So instead of protecting victims, they protect their image instead. Psychologists call this groupthink, where maintaining unity becomes more important than addressing uncomfortable truths. Leaders convince themselves that protecting the institution protects the faith, but in reality, it only protects the abusers. Authority bias and blind obedience. Psychologists like Stanley Milgram prove that people are surprisingly obedient to authority, even when they know it's wrong. In his famous experiment, participants were willing to administer what they believed were deadly shocks just because an authority figure told them to. Now imagine that authority figure isn't just a person, but a representation of God, but a representative of God. Questioning them feels like questioning faith itself. This is called authority bias, and it makes followers more likely to ignore or justify immoral behavior. The forgiveness excuse. Religious institutions often preach forgiveness, and while forgiveness can be healing, it can also be weaponized to protect predators. Abusers claim they've repented, and religious leaders use that as an excuse to avoid punishment. This is a classic case of moral licensing, where people believe that doing something good justifies their bad actions. In these cases, religious leaders convince themselves that offering forgiveness is more righteous than seeking justice. Victim silencing and the bystander effect. Another psychological factor at play is the bystander effect. This occurs when people witness wrongdoing but assume someone else will take action. In religious communities, followers often believe that God will handle it, or the church leaders will take care of it. Victims are often pressured to stay silent to avoid bringing shame to the faith. And when victims do speak out, they're met with victim blaming and accusations of trying to harm the institution. And lastly, trauma bonding and psychological manipulation. There's something even more disturbing. Many victims form trauma bonds with their abusers. These bonds create feelings of loyalty and dependence, making it incredibly difficult for victims to break free or report abuse. Predators often use religious guilt to manipulate victims. They convince them that reporting their abuse would be going against God, and that they face eternal damnation if they speak out. And lastly, are all religious groups guilty? Before we go any further, let me be clear. Not all religious people or groups protect predators. I know that there are many faith-based organizations that are actively fighting to hold abusers accountable and support survivors. The problem isn't faith itself, it's when institutions prioritize self-preservation over morality. And that happens in religions and non-religious organizations alike. Whenever something in life has become toxic and infected, whether this be your body, your home, your pets, or even the trees in your garden, the cure to such a level of toxicity and treatment must start within. Any permanent solution means finding the deepest of the infected roots to be able to destroy it and rebuild again. So how can we stop this? How can we stop these cycles? Firstly, religious organizations should have to be required to make any abuse known to law enforcement, and they must not be allowed to just handle it internally. Secondly, victims have to be believed. Silence only protects abusers. Supporting survivors is the only way to break these cycles. And lastly, we must as a humanity end blind faith in authority. No one, no matter what their title is, should ever be above the law. And I'm sure, as you know, this isn't just about religion. Any institution with unchecked power can create a culture where predators thrive. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think that religion protects predators because of faith? Or is it really just about power and control? Should religious institutions face tougher laws? Drop your thoughts and comments below. And if you found this discussion thought-provoking, please hit like and subscribe for more videos like these, where I will be tackling the tough questions in society. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.